Welcome to the third annual Future of Video, OTT, Pay TV, and Digital Media. My name is Elizabeth Parks, and I'm the president of Parks Associates, a market research and consulting company focused on emerging consumer technologies with a particular focus on entertainment and consumer viewing choices. We know our in-person events play a huge role in networking, visibility for leading players in the connected entertainment space, and interaction with our analyst team and key players. We wish we were seeing you in person, but appreciate you joining us virtually this year. Please share your feedback with our team on your experience. We want to thank our sponsors for supporting Future of Video, many of whom have supported our efforts for years. We're striving to bring individuals together to network and discuss the critical issues our industries are facing, particularly as we navigate this new way of doing things. We have a great lineup of speakers this week, including visionary insights from Tubi, Bloomberg Media, Verizon Media, Amazon, Revry, ESPN, and Wicket Labs. If you miss a live session, you can go back at any time to watch on demand. Go to Watch Replays and click on the session that you want to view. Have you created your own event agenda and swap card? Visit the Agenda and Watch Replay tabs to add sessions that interest you to your own event. You can go back to My Event to revisit any bookmarked sessions, sponsors, and items. We want to make sure that you're connecting with our industry-leading sponsors in the OTT, Pay TV, and digital media space. You can interact with them by visiting the booths in the Sponsor tab. You can also bookmark sponsors or add items to your event to view later. Sponsors have uploaded extra materials for attendees. Make sure to visit sponsors that interest you to chat with one of their team members or save documents for later. We have dedicated meeting slots set up for break times between sessions. Continue the discussion by requesting meetings from others in the SwapCard platform. Schedule a meeting with another attendee or a sponsor by visiting their page. The panelists and speakers will be addressing your questions live during the stream. During the stream, use the question tab to ask your questions early in the presentation. Go to the poll tab to answer polls that will be discussed during the live stream. If you need help navigating SwapCard, please reach out to our team by mentioning @Parks Associates in the chat box or by contacting one of our team members via our company page.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our track on the evolution of Pay TV. This track discusses trends in the Pay TV space, such as the shift to online video, new types of service differentiation, and the priorities of Pay TV providers as they continue to evolve their services. In case you haven't met me before, I'm Kristen Hannock, a senior analyst here at Parks Associates. I cover the entertainment space among a number of different areas. In terms of the agenda for today's session, we are going to be starting things off with a 10-minute presentation on some of the trends that we've been seeing here at Parks Associates with regards to the video space. This will be followed by a 30-minute fireside chat with Caroline Ferraria, Head of Customer Acquisition at Philo. Next, we will be discussing some of the trends we've been seeing in this online Pay TV space, talking with a great lineup of panelists, including Ben Grad of Fubo TV, Kristen Seitz of Philo, Lou Bolden of Verimatrix, and Megan Dover of Cox Communications. Our panel discussion will last for about 45 minutes, followed by 15 minutes of audience Q&A. Finally, we'll end our day with a networking discussion in our Zoom breakout room. And in case this is your first time joining us for one of our Parks events, as a reminder, if you have any questions, make sure to type them into the Q&A box to the right of your screen. Okay. So yes, getting into our analyst presentation. 2020 has been really a dramatic year for many industries, the entertainment industry in particular. We've seen a lot of intensification and acceleration of ongoing trends in this arena. We've also seen a lot of pressure on the Pay TV space in particular. What we saw overall this year in terms of trends was a very much accelerated shift in terms of online video delivery. adoption of OTT video services grew, while adoption of pay TV services continued to decline. In terms of the exact number of subscriptions, the changes were really more dramatic than what this chart necessarily implies. While adoption of OTT video grew 6 percentage points year over year, growth in OTT service stacking, or the average number of OTT video subscriptions that a given consumer subscribes to, also grew. If you're not aware, Parks Associates estimates OTT service subscriptions every quarter in its OTT video tracker product. In the United States alone, we track subscribers and users to over 200 different OTT video services. In this tracker product, we found that between the fourth quarter of 2019 and the third quarter of 2020, over 70 million new OTT video subscriptions were generated among the 200 different services that we track. This chart is also maybe disguising some of the changes that we saw in the overall composition of the pay TV landscape. So here we see a small overall decline in the pay TV market. However, what this is hiding is that while traditional pay TV subscriptions fell, online pay TV actually grew. Let me go into that in a little bit more detail. So one of the trends that Parks Associates has been tracking is the adoption of what we call online pay TV. This includes various types of pay TV services that are available via app to consumers. This may include both vMVPD services, as well as services that may be limited to a traditional provider's broadband footprint or another geographic area. What we've been seeing is that increasingly, pay TV subscribers have been experimenting with online pay TV options and ultimately making a switch. This includes switching to new lower-cost vMVPD services, as well as switching to their current pay TV provider's online options. We can see here in the chart on the right some of the reasons why people are switching from traditional pay TV services to online pay TV. Cost is a large factor for many, but another key factor is some of the innovations and convenient features that are only available with these online services, such as the availability to watch on-demand or live content on mobile devices or PCs, something that has become increasingly important to consumers. People have also been pretty happy with their online pay TV service. One of the ways that Parks Associates measures customer satisfaction is with Net Promoter Scores, or NPS. These scores are a measure of how willing a customer is to recommend a given service. We can see here that average customer satisfaction has been increasing among traditional pay TV subscribers in the last few years. However, you can also see that NPS with online pay TV services is really much higher overall. This year was a little bit unusual in terms of its impact to NPS. We saw a dip in NPS in the second quarter when sports were canceled, and also a subsequent rise with sports return in the third quarter. And that also leads us again into our next trend. One of the ways that the pay TV industry has been acting to create value for subscribers and retain them is with sports coverage and sports content. This has been widely considered to be a very important tentpole for the pay TV industry. And it is very important for a large percent of consumers. As per the most recent Gallup poll on the subject, some 60% of US consumers consider themselves to be sports fans. These fans are much more likely to value sports content, engage with it on social media, pay for it via subscription services, and may ultimately leave a service if content isn't available. However, at the same time, there is another large percent of consumers that do not consider themselves to be fans of sports. Again, per that same Gallup poll, this is about 40% of the US overall. They may watch sports if something is on, or their friends are hosting a game day party, but sports by and large aren't really a part of these consumers' lives. They don't matter all that much. And with many of the pay TV price hikes that we've been seeing largely attributed to the rising cost of carrying sports content, they might not be willing to keep paying for content that they don't value for much longer. So what we have begun to see in the market is increased differentiation around sports, with various companies building their brands around sports content or around general entertainment content without sports. While internationally, we've been seeing this take off with some major traditional pay TV providers such as Vodafone. And in the United States, this has begun with some newer providers, what we call the digital newcomers, offering vMVPD services. On the sports side of things, we see Fubo TV and YouTube TV. And on the general entertainment side, we see Philo and Friendly TV. And also on both sides, we see T-Mobile USA's new services operating under the TVision umbrella. TVision Vibe without sports for just $10 per month, and TVision Live with sports in various packagings starting at $40 per month. If you've been tracking the news, you may have heard that some of TVision's programmers have been pushing back on this strategy and that they don't believe that the service's staggered pricing and programming tiers comply with the contracts. TVision, of course, says otherwise. How this ultimately gets resolved will help guide the direction that the overall pay TV space may head. Will pay TV providers be able to create new, lower-priced packagings with less expensive content to pull in the cord cutters and the cord nevers who may not necessarily be fans? Or will they ultimately be forced to make a choice between carrying more expensive content, including sports, or cutting it out of their live TV programming altogether? In summation, what we've seen in 2020 is some growth in particular sectors of the pay TV industry. This has helped to offset overall decline. The online pay TV space has grown, but not enough to fully make up for traditional pay TV subscriber losses. We are seeing more and more providers, traditional players, turn to app-based video delivery models in a drive to increase customer satisfaction, reduce churn, and also cut costs. The big example of this is AT&T's new AT&T TV service, which it introduced earlier this year with the goal of replacing DirecTV and U-verse. Increasingly, pay TV is becoming OTT. According to Parks Associates survey data, over 17% of US broadband households today are getting their pay TV primarily delivered over the top. This is only going to continue to rise in the coming years, and one day, all or most pay TV content may be OTT. Increased differentiation around sports is another trend that we're seeing, which we expect to potentially accelerate in the coming years as sports content continues to increase in cost. Increasingly, providers will be made to choose which of those two markets they want to target, sports fans or non-fans, or potentially come up with ways to try and serve the needs of both. And thank you for joining me today. everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining us all here today. Next up, we have our fireside chat with Philo, a service that is very new and very exciting with some fairly stellar growth this year. So joining us here today is Carolyn Ferraria, who is the head of customer acquisition at Philo. Carolyn, can you maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, and also maybe a little bit about Philo as well?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Carolyn Ferreira, and I'm the head of customer acquisition at Philo. My team leads our acquisition efforts for both paid and organic across digital, connected TV, and non-digital channels. Most recently, we've experienced 300% year-over-year growth, and in 2020, we were the fastest growing live TV streaming service in the first half of the year. My background includes an MBA from Wharton Business School of Business. I then spent a few years at LinkedIn and then Facebook, and most recently, I was the head of growth marketing at Aura and grew them to be the #6 app in health and fitness. And Philo has differentiated itself by offering leading edge technology, an affordable price point, and great customer service. We have 63 lifestyle and entertainment channels for $20 a month. We also have over 50,000 TV episodes and movies, as well as a free 30-day unlimited DVR. And we are backed by notable channel partners, including A&E, AMC, Discovery, and Viacom.
Very cool. So it sounds like a good lineup of channels, a good lineup of partners. So I think the question that's really on everyone's mind right now is that this year there's really been a lot of changes in the OTT market as a whole. We saw OTT video really boom. As I just was discussing a few minutes ago, we've also seen the pay TV sector as a whole somewhat decline, and vMVPDs have had, of course, a very good year. However, we also saw that some of the vMVPD players are maybe not doing as well as others, so this has been somewhat of a difficult year for Sling TV in particular. What would you say is your perspective on the state of the vMVPD market? Do you think that maybe in a post-COVID environment, it will still continue to grow?
Yeah, while we would not prefer to weigh in on the numbers of our competitors or one specific competitor, I can say that Philo has continued to grow every single month in 2020, and that we've had unprecedented growth this year. In terms of the overall market, many people came into the space at an artificially low and possibly unsustainable price point. Many have had to raise their prices significantly in order to afford their rising content and marketing costs. And ultimately, we believe we have a more sustainable model than our competitors in this space because we can offer our product at an affordable price point that allows us to grow. It's also important to note that Philo has maintained our $20 price point for nearly 3 years while adding more than 15 channels. In the past year, we have also really focused on maximizing the effectiveness of every core channel while expanding into new marketing channels. And every performance win allows us to continue to lock additional budgets to accelerate our growth while maintaining our target customer acquisition costs. Essentially, our marketing budgets pay for themselves to fuel our growth, and we expect this to continue into 2021 and beyond, and just continue to grow.
Mm-hmm. Then can we talk maybe a little bit more about Philo's customer acquisition efforts? You mentioned that you'd expanded the funnel in various ways. How can you maybe go a little bit more into detail on that? How has the funnel been expanded in this recent year since your arrival at Philo?
Sure. So my team takes a very data-driven approach to our marketing channel. And since my arrival, we have significantly increased the amount of testing that we're doing, and we've continued to find performance wins that allow us to gain efficiencies and continue to scale. We've increased the number of channels by more than 400%, again, to find additional opportunities to scale. Some of these new platforms include Reddit, TikTok, and Snapchat. And in this past year, we also started testing retail with efforts such as the Best Buy partnership, where customers can buy Philo when they buy their new device, and the Roku National Offer, which was a 2-month free trial when a Roku was purchased. Overall, we leverage our data-driven marketing to double down on performance tactics that are working and to continue to optimize every part of the funnel to ensure we are maximizing overall performance.
Okay, then you also mentioned expanding to quite a few different channels as well. Can you maybe go a little bit more into detail on that as well? So how has Philo expanded its product in the past year to better appeal to consumers? Of course, we also saw that with the lockdowns that were in place, there were quite a few people who weren't really able to go anywhere and weren't able to participate as much as they would like in really much of anything.
Yeah, so in terms of the content side, we added additional channels such as TV One, Get TV, INSP, and Newsy to our base package without raising any of our costs. And then we also added premium add-ons such as Epics and Stars so that customers had more access to the content they want. And if they wanted additional content, they could find it on Philo. In addition, we've been launching additional platforms. One of them was Chromecast on Android. Chromecast was one of our most commonly requested features here at Philo, and so being able to access that or provide that to our customers has been able to expand the different places where people can consume and watch Philo on the devices of their choice, whether they're at home or on the go. Philo is able to be accessed for them.
Yes, meeting customers where they are is definitely very important, especially in today's market. So I think there's something else that is really very interesting. So recently, Philo released some growth numbers. I believe 800,000 subscribers across the United States, so 300% year-over-year growth. What would you say is really key behind driving this type of growth? Of course, I just finished a presentation saying that 40% of the US weren't really sports fans, and I imagine that certainly plays a role.
Yeah, in terms of our differentiation of our product, I think that the key is that Philo offers a lot of content for a relatively low price point, and customers are thrilled to be able to receive 60 channels for only $20 a month. We don't really have anything against sports or broadcast news. The issue is the current economics don't make sense. However, there's a way to expand into more programming areas that provides value to our customers at a price point that also makes sense. We would absolutely be thrilled to offer it. However, in addition to our product offerings, a big differentiator for us is our customer acquisition strategies. We've improved the rate by which we are testing our new marketing tactics by 4 to 5x, increased the number of marketing channels where we are active, and scaled up our core marketing channels as we've unlocked performance. So having the right product combined with a fueled acquisition strategy has really combined helped us grow.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can imagine. And then, of course, with the different pressures throughout this year, that gave you an additional boost, which was probably most welcome. So I guess can I maybe ask you a few questions around what kind of customer Philo is targeting? So of course there are the non-sports fans, which may be somewhat incidental. You also have quite a bit of content, as you mentioned, that was available for a tempting price. So I imagine a lot of people who may not have necessarily had pay TV before, maybe some cord cutters as well.
Yeah, I mean, Philo is a great entertainment package because there's something for everyone. For our reality fans, we have 90 Day Fiancé, Jersey Shore, Married at First Sight. For our drama fanatics, we have The Walking Dead, Killing Eve, and Yellowstone. We also have a diversity of content for kids and true crime, home improvement, and more. At a high level, Philo is looking to attract customers who want to watch a diversity of entertainment content at an affordable price point. For the customers who are sports fans, many find ways to complement Philo with other sports streaming services. As you mentioned, more than 20% of Philo's customers aren't actually switching from cable or streaming service, but they've been priced out of the live TV product. Many people access Philo, and it's their first live TV experience for the first time in years, and they are thrilled to be having this service again. At Philo, we also take pride in the diverse representation of our content creators, and that includes channels such as TV One, BET, Aspire, Revolt, OWN, and Clio TV.
Okay, very cool. So what would you be able to maybe share about Philo's vision for the pay TV market for the next couple of years? What's on your radar, maybe in terms of trends or potential ways to expand your business? You just mentioned that it might be possible for Philo to expand maybe to sports in a way that makes sense, provided the business model is there. So maybe a partnership with a sports OTT service.
Yeah, one thing that we really believe here at Philo is that customers do not want 20 different streaming services and logins and passwords. They want to find all of the content they want to watch in one place. So there really is a value in offering a bundle. Additionally, not everyone wants to pay more for the content, so that's where there's really an appeal of having add-on options. Philo has seen a lot of success with our add-ons such as Epics and Stars, and we're going to continue expanding add-ons like premium networks and or a movie or kids package. Also, where we can, we plan to expand our base package without needing significant price increases.
Okay. So yes, I believe that has been the big challenge of vMVPD is just trying to find a model that makes sense for them financially. And it sounds like you guys were able to find a good place with your current offering. So it looks like we do have a few questions from the audience. If you would be willing to answer some of them.
Sure.
Okay. So one of our audience members is very curious about learning a little bit more about the Best Buy deal and what the impact of that has been so far. So it looks like Philo subscribers can get 1 month of Philo free with the purchase of certain streaming devices, smart TVs or antennas at Best Buy. Alternatively, those signing up for a Philo subscription in stores or online through Best Buy will get half off of their first month's bill. What has been the impact of that?
Yeah, we are not currently offering public numbers on that, but it is part of a larger strategy to be part of the decision-making process when people are choosing their streaming service. So that's part of the reason why we wanted to be part of the Roku retail offer, so that when people were buying their Roku device, it makes sense that that's a critical point when they're deciding what service they would like. And similar to the Best Buy offer, we're looking to expand where when people are buying new televisions, when people are setting up new devices, that's a critical point for us to be part of the influence or drive influence on their decision-making process for Philo being the best solution for them.
Okay. I think one of the trends we've been seeing is that yourselves, as well as a number of other services, are really seeing the importance of being present on connected devices in order to drive visibility and new subscribers as well. So I think that's that type of partnership is a very interesting example of how to really develop mindshare in the hearts and minds of consumers. It looks like we might have another question in from the audience. So it looks like there's an audience member asking us here if the assumption here is that vMVPDs such as Philo may be the future of pay TV, and that the traditional type of provider, so a provider that maybe sends a live channel over a managed network would be dead at some point in time. Do you have a perspective on that? Or I can mine as well.
Yeah, no, I think what our growth this year in 2020 has shown is that live TV is alive and thriving, and it's a offering that people want and enjoy. And so the data that we're looking at, we do not see that is a trend that's going to reverse anytime soon.
Yeah. I have to say that I agree with you. I think there's been a lot of pressure on the pay TV sector as a whole. We do see vMVPDs as a bright spot. So Parks Associates tracks different vMVPD subscriber estimates, and we have the sector as growing pretty healthily this year. Not enough to maybe make up for the losses we've seen in the traditional pay TV side of things, but this has been a pretty good year for vMVPDs. I think what we expect to see here at Parks is that maybe some more of the traditional players will begin launching their services online. It's hard to say if 10 years from now we'll have all the same players in the market. There might be different ones, but that's how it goes sometimes. It looks like we have a few other questions coming in from our audience as well. So we have an audience member who is interested in understanding maybe a little bit more about how Philo keeps their customer acquisition costs so low. What's the secret sauce, if you can share it?
Yeah, I think that our team is very data driven and very strategic, and we always like to take a step back and really challenge every component of the marketing funnel, and are very systematic about testing and learning and iterating from those tests. So as we expand into new channels, and we also like to leverage insights from one channel to another. If something's really resonating on one channel, we deploy those tactics in other channels. But really the speed by which we test and iterate and learn, really developing domain expertise on the various channels where we are, and having that strategic mindset to develop the right tests are part of our success.
Okay. And something I've been hearing about this year is that social has very much been a focus for all sorts of different companies, just finding new ways to engage with consumers and really bringing in their attention through storytelling and through different types of outreach measures. Would you say that you agree? You're nodding. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's fair to say that Facebook is one of the largest channels for people to invest their marketing dollars. I've had experience at Facebook, which I'm excited to bring to Philo, and finding new ways to.
Oh, it looks like the stream may have frozen for a few seconds, so we should be back on track in just a few seconds. Thank you. Okay. So yes, it seems that. Oh, are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
There we go. Okay, excellent. That was just only a tiny minor glitch. There we are.
Yes. Where did I cut out there?
I think you were talking a little bit about some of your work at Facebook and how that's been guiding, I believe, some of the decision making.
Yeah. Facebook is, of course, one of the largest marketing channels in the space, and so we definitely invest in that channel, and we like to leverage a lot of learnings and best practices. In addition to working at Facebook, I also worked at a Facebook FMP, which also allowed for a lot of different domain knowledge on the Facebook channel. But from a customer's point of view, finding the right message at the right time, whether that's on Facebook or TikTok or Snapchat, whether that's on search, we really take a holistic approach to finding the right customers independent of what channel that they are on.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that is definitely the best way to approach this. We've also seen over the past few years that there's a lot of diversity in where customers are going now in terms of social media. So you might connect to a different type of customer on Reddit as compared to Facebook, as compared to YouTube, as compared to Twitch. So a lot of potential room.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that we've leaned into, is that while there are a lot of cross learnings from different channels, every channel has its nuances of what is successful and what works for those channels. And so in addition to having cross learnings from the channels, it's also part of our core strategy to tailor our creative and our messaging and our overall strategy specific to each and every platform.
Mm-hmm. Very cool, very cool. It looks like we've had quite a few new questions come in from the audience. So we'll try to get to most of these, provided we have time. So we have a question asking about revenue streams. So asking which revenue stream most holds Philo's focus, subscription, advertising, or both, really.
Yeah, we look holistically at the value of our customers. We never want to do one thing at the expense of another. So first and foremost, our customers come first, and delivering a product that is at an affordable price point is a main focus. And then the other components of our revenue can complement, but we do look at the overall LTV, but our customers come first, and we wouldn't necessarily want to raise our prices as a priority over one tactic or another because we are such a customer-focused company.
Okay, and then we have a few additional questions that are along the same line. I'm going to condense them down into a single question that I think might fit a little bit better. So it looks like you've expanded your channel offering quite a bit without raising prices. What has advertising been able to really help keep that subscription cost down? I think that is the main gist of the question.
Yeah. At Philo, the company really is firing on all cylinders. We have great content team that is able to work with our partners to find content at a price point that works for us. Our advertising team is also phenomenal, and they are working to continually optimize that revenue stream. So it's really a team effort here at Philo to deliver the products that we offer at the price that we offer, and so it's very much a collaborative effort.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it sounds like all of the parts are coming together. So we have also another question that's on a little bit of a different vein. I don't think this is something that we've necessarily touched on quite yet at Future of Video, but I know we're going to be covering it in a little bit more detail, I think, in tomorrow's session and possibly our last day as well. So one of the things we've seen is that there is this growing presence of what we call platform aggregators. So similar to Prime Video channels, the Roku channel, Apple TV channels, and now the Comcast Flex service as well. So does Philo and maybe some others in the vMVPD space consider these types of aggregators competition potentially, and also maybe eating into your company's growth potential? Or are they all maybe just a different part of the market?
Yeah, I think that there will always be new competitors that come to this space, but we are very confident in the product offering that we provide. In terms of the cost per price per channel, we really are the most affordable option in the space. And so while there are always going to be new different bundles and different offerings, we are excited and confident with the bundle that we've created for our customers.
Mm-hmm. So yes, it's difficult to have more than 2 or 3 OTT video services at the $20 price point. So I think I definitely agree with you there. So yes, we have a lot of interest from the audience right now. So we have another question on advertising. Since Philo is ad-supported, wondering how important it is optimizing experience to make sure that your ads are delivered. And then the question states a few industry statistics saying that there are maybe 30% of ads that are supposedly delivered or actually failed. And then there's a second part to the question asking how important it is that you ensure that advertising is seamless so it doesn't really disrupt the user experience.
Yeah, so that's definitely being managed by a really great team on the advertising side. We take a commitment to following the most ethical standards in terms of making sure that we always deliver what we say that we deliver. And we always take the customer first. So we are very mindful about which advertisers can advertise on the Philo platform, and just are very thoughtful and intentional about in making sure that the customer experience is a positive one. And as mentioned before, the customer is really the center of our focus. And so that really drives all of our decision making.
Yes, you want to make sure that the customer experience isn't too disruptive, even though the ads are an important driver of revenue and also important at maintaining that price point as well. So we have another question in asking how you think that consumers are finding new content. So asking if referrals and content are really the biggest drivers to subscriptions. Is word of mouth enough to drive viewers in order to get the audience needed? Or is maybe marketing, different types of marketing and content recommendation also very important?
Sorry, it cut out for just half of that question, if you wouldn't mind repeating it.
Okay, let me do this again then. Hopefully we'll make sure this all goes through. So how do you think consumers are finding new content? Since referrals and content are really some of the biggest drivers to subscriptions, is word of mouth on its own enough to drive viewers, or are different other types of actions really needed? So for example, using marketing, using personalization and content recommendation and other types of solutions also really needed.
Yeah, so from a product perspective, when you go into the Philo app or platform, there are a lot of different content recommendations for you based on whether you like reality TV or whether you like kids content. And so our platform is designed to allow you to discover things that you would love to watch. In addition to that, we also do have a very positive and passionate customer base. I personally love to see the positive tweets that people write about Philo, about how much they love saving money while being able to watch their shows. And so having a customer base that loves us and promotes us is definitely an exciting part of our business model. And then from the acquisition and growth perspective, having those core target customer acquisition costs being met and being able to use the paid marketing to fuel the growth, just as it continues to allow us to pay for itself. That also is part of the overall growth there.
Okay, very cool. And then we have another question asking if Philo has any holiday specials this year. So I guess maybe they're looking to subscribe themselves.
Yeah, so we did just have a Black Friday and Cyber Monday deal that has recently ended. However, if you do know someone who has a Philo subscription currently, they can give you 25% off your first month as part of our referral package.
Very cool. And it looks like we might have time for one or two additional questions. So audience members, if you have one last question, you better hurry. So we do have one that just came in. They're saying that this is a technical question. So they want to know how you handle the in-stream ads, so ads delivered over a live stream.
Yeah, that's a question that's probably better suited for one of my other team members. But we do have a great team that's working on that and making sure that we're delivering a best-in-class experience there as well.
Okay, then maybe we can try following up with that attendee later.
Sure.
Okay. Then it looks like we have a couple of minutes left. We might have exhausted the audience. Are there any questions that you might have for me, since this is it's a fireside chat and I've been asking you a lot of questions and the audience has also been asking you a lot of questions? It's your turn.
Sure. I guess I would love to hear your perspective as an outsider in terms of where you see Philo and sort of as an outsider what you're excited about.
I think that Philo's business model is very exciting. There's definitely a lot of potential. We've seen some phenomenal, stellar growth this year. I have to admit, I'm not really much of a sports fan myself, so I can definitely understand the appeal of a service that maybe cuts that type of content out and really better delivers on cost. I am also a consumer who is on Reddit more than I am on maybe other social media channels. So I appreciate your presence there as well.
That's great. Yeah, and then I guess in terms of overall growth in the space, I know that we have our vantage point. Would love to hear yours as well.
I think we, or at least I, am certainly expecting to see some continued growth in the vMVPD space. I know last year, 2019, the market had somewhat slowed, but this year there has been just stellar growth, really almost across the board. I think that there is a lot more awareness of vMVPDs and other types of online pay TV services than there might have been in the past. So certainly there's many more consumers who are aware now that this is actually an option, then they can save money. Some of them may be looking to potentially downsize the number of subscriptions that they have. So we saw this year that service stacking is really at an all-time high, and that hasn't slowed down really much at all. There's going to be really a point in time where people realize, oh, hey, I can subscribe to this other service and then maybe I can pare down on some of the other ones that I'm subscribed to. So
yeah, that's
definitely some
yeah, that's definitely what we see as well. People love to complement Philo with additional sports content or other streaming services, and we definitely find ourselves as a complement to a lot of the other products out there, and so we agree with that trend as in the marketplace.
Yes. So what do you think will be Philo's maybe biggest challenge in the next year?
Biggest challenge? That's a great question. I think we continue to have a lot of exciting growth. We definitely don't want that to slow down anytime soon. So continuing to grow at our accelerated rate is always something that we want to do and to continue to do. We're going to continue to offer and expand our product offerings and continue to offer more for without significant price increases. And then in terms of the acquisition marketing perspective, we do anticipate 2021 to see an increase in CPMs, which is a cost per 1,000 impressions. And so when that happens, it's even more critical that we are incredibly efficient throughout the entire funnel to offset those rising costs. So that'll be something that we're definitely focusing on in 2021, is really trying to offset those increases so that we can maintain our target customer acquisition goals so that we continue to fuel the growth that we need to continue this momentum.
Yes, definitely some challenge there, but I'm sure you guys will do well as you've been doing the past year.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited about 2021 and the growth there.
Yeah. I think this may be about all that we have time for. So thank you so much, Kellen, for joining us here today. It was wonderful talking with you and learning all about Philo. So next up, we are going to be going into our panel discussion, talking about vMVPDs and blending traditional pay TV with OTT. back, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our panel discussion on the subject of vMVPDs. So as I mentioned, we have really a great lineup of panelists here today to discuss some of the topics around vMVPDs and other types of online pay TV. So starting things off, I would love to introduce Lou Bolden, who is the Chief Revenue Officer at Verimatrix. Lou, can you tell us maybe a little bit about yourself and what you do, and also about Verimatrix?
Hi, thank you very much for having me. I'm Lou Bolden. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for Verimatrix. At Verimatrix, we provide software-based security solutions for DVB, IPTV, meaning multicast networks, multi-DRM, TV everywhere authentication, watermarking, as well as application shielding products for companies around the world. We have over 1,000 customers in 120 countries, and we protect over 500 million clients across those devices. In today's changing and fast-paced world, what's happening today, there are 3 times as many applications as there are people in the world, and we've lost 12.5 billion of revenue to video piracy. In addition to that, 75% of apps are unprotected. And one of our goals is to make security frictionless and easy for not only the companies that use them to use, but for those end users.
Very cool. Thank you, Lou. That's a very, very important topic to cover, and something we're going to be discussing a little bit today as well. So next we have Megan Dover, who is the Executive Director of Video and Entertainment Product and Management at Cox Communications. Megan, thank you for joining us. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Cox.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for having me. My name is Megan Dover. I have been with Cox for 22 years. I've been involved in a lot of different things besides video over the years, but the majority of my time at Cox has certainly been on our video products. If you're not familiar with our company, we would be kind of considered a traditional cable operator. We sell high-speed internet service, telephone, home automation and security services, in addition to video. We're also the largest privately held telecom company in the U.S. And we are really focused on driving human connections with our customers, and certainly something that we have been able to lean in on a lot given COVID this year, working on helping make sure that our customers are able to stay connected to their family and friends, as well as the content that they really enjoy watching.
Mm-hmm. So definitely something that is absolutely critical, especially this year when so many of us were really made to rely on our home internet connections, as well as turn to video for all of our entertainment. So yes, next we have Ben Grad, who is the head of content strategy and acquisition at Fubo TV. Ben, can you maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Fubo?
Yeah, hey, thanks for the intro. My name is Ben Grad. I'm head of content strategy and acquisition at Fubo TV. For those that don't know Fubo, we're the leading sports-first live TV platform. Basically we're a pay TV replacement platform for someone who has a Roku or an Amazon Fire TV or an Apple TV in their home. We have a leading offering with more top 50 Nielsen rated channels in our base package than any other live TV streaming platform. And our UI and cloud-based infrastructure is really optimized for live TV streaming and for sports in particular. As you can see on the slide, we've seen a huge amount of growth as there's been increased consumer interest in the space really every year. And we closed third quarter with over 450,000 subscribers. In addition, we actually went public earlier this quarter and raised close to $200 million in that. So, we're excited to be out there and providing the best streaming TV experience for customers in the marketplace.
Yes, so very cool, and congratulations on the IPO and on your subscriber growth as well. That's exciting news.
Thank you.
So yes, let's see. We also have another person who is going to be joining us. We'll see if she is able to make it. Kristen Seitz, also with Philo. So she was a little bit delayed, unfortunately. But yes, let's go directly into our panel discussion. There are a lot of hot topics that I would really love to ask you all and hear your opinions as well. So really kicking things off, this has been a bit of a year for pay TV really as a whole. We've seen that there has been this trend of pay TV subscriber decline. COVID-19 has also accelerated this, at least in the US market. At the same time, we've seen a few different pay TV services, including a lot of other online services, but also some of the traditional ones as well. They've grown their subscriber footprints this year, sometimes by a very healthy amount. What would you really say have been the key factors in terms of attracting or retaining pay TV subscribers this year? And then anyone can really feel free to answer this.
Yeah, I can jump in first, Kristen. So
Yeah, I'll
go
go
ahead.
All yours.
Okay, let's see. This has been a very good year for us. I mean, certainly on the broadband side, but as well on the video side, both from a customer perspective, kind of growth perspective, but also the kind of the amount of video that customers are consuming. Substantial increase that we're seeing in VOD usage, and then app usage of our products as well.
Okay, very exciting.
Right.
Oh, it looks like Kristen.
Yeah, I guess on
Go ahead.
Yeah, on my end, what I'd say that the key drivers, for us, it's really been the live sports is what brings people onto the platform, and we definitely see continued interest in the marketplace on sports. And then I think, in terms of some of the growth for us, it's really having a very compelling price to value calculation for a customer that maybe used to be paying, 2x what our offering costs for a similar offering that they may have had with cable or satellite.
Did you hear what Megan said? Did she grow? Oh, very cool, very cool. It looks like Kirsten was able to join us. So we're going to backtrack just a tad. Kirsten, thank you for making it. I appreciate the difficulties you had to navigate for that. Can you maybe take a couple of minutes to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Philo?
Yes, hi, sorry about that. I was here the whole time, but for some reason I wasn't getting in. But thank you for having me today. I'm Kirsten Seitz. I head up marketing operations and strategy at Philo. For those who may have missed Carolyn's fireside chat a little bit ago, Philo is a live streaming television service with 60 plus channels for only $20 a month. Our content package is really focused on entertainment, lifestyle, and knowledge-based programming. And we have networks from our programming partners like AMC, A&E, Discovery, and Viacom. We also have fan favorites like Hallmark, which you can imagine at this time is very popular. Our product is fully featured. We have 30-day DVR. We have up to 3 simultaneous streams. All of that is included in our $20 price point. We've had tremendous growth since our launch in 2017. We've grown 300% year over year. And one of the exciting things is that a large segment of our audience is actually new to pay TV. Meaning that they were probably priced out in some way. So they are adopting our service and finding Philo as their choice. So really excited to be here. Thank you for including me, and sorry about the technical difficulties.
Oh no, that these things happen. So we all had to really bear with them this year. But yes, Megan was sharing some of the great news that Cox has had in terms of its broadband growth and also growth in video as well. And then Ben waited a little bit about Fubo TV. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about some of the trends that Philo has been seeing this year with regards to customer acquisition and retention? Of course, we also discussed a little bit of this with Caroline a few minutes ago.
Did it get me?
Oh, there we go.
Sure. So yeah, heading into 2020, we had a lot of great momentum, and we're seeing a lot of really strong growth on the service. In March, once shelter in place was put into effect and more people were home, their kids were also home. Live sports was canceled. All of those things kind of came together to really accelerate our growth. And I think that given, just the nature of our product, that was a really good option for customers at that time. We saw a lot of strong growth in that really early phases of shelter in place. So March, April, May, and June were strong months for us. On top of that, I would say some of the things that Carolyn highlighted in her fireside chat in terms of our acquisition strategies and really optimizing those channels, as well as expanding into new channels like our strategic partnership with Best Buy, where we have promotions in place that are both in store and online. And I think you and Carolyn kind of alluded to this, but one of the exciting things about the Best Buy partnership is really that, meeting customers where they are. And, Best Buy has had a long history of helping customers sort of navigate the world of tech and consumer electronics. And, while a lot more customers are considering and moving to streaming services, there's still a lot of confusion around what devices and what platforms they should be on, what services are best suited for them. And so it's a great opportunity for us to really tap into the Best Buy channel, certainly with their fleet of Blue Shirts, as well as installers that they have, and help customers really navigate and set up their entertainment experience. And then I think, just our overall value prop and the product offering that we have at the price point has been really great for retention for us. I think as customers are facing a lot of financial insecurity and in the wake of a recession, I think we're really positioned well with our offering.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very, very good. So I also have another question. So we talked a little bit about the pandemic. One of the areas that was really most impacted by this was sports. So earlier games were delayed or canceled. We're currently having something of an abbreviated sports season, and it's likely we may have another abbreviated season next year as well, depending on what happens with the vaccine rollout. Ben, so your company, FuboTV, really focuses on sports fans. Can you talk maybe a little bit about how you've kept your customer base engaged this year, and also a bit about that? So I mentioned that there was a Q3 sports fan jump in subscribers. Maybe a bit about that as well, and how you're planning on keeping customers engaged next year.
Yeah, thanks, Kristen. So we absolutely focus on the sports fan. We are a sports first live TV streaming platform. Having said that, with sports, on pause earlier this year, we did have some concern about what that meant for our subscriber base. What we saw is sort of the result of having built out really a leading content platform across all genres, not just sports, but sports, news, and entertainment over the last 3 years. And so while sports was paused, we saw actually record-breaking engagement on our platform, well over 140 hours a month, which was more than we had seen before. So we have more top 50 Nielsen-rated channels in our base package than any other live streaming platform. And that's not just sports, but sports, entertainment, and news. So, there was a lot in customers' packages at that point besides sports. And, with our UI and recommendation tools, we were able to help them find the content. We did do some things like free previews of some premium offerings on the platform, and that helped too. But, what we didn't see during that point is we didn't really see great customer acquisition numbers. Really the reason that a new customer comes to a platform like Fubo is really for live sports. That is really what differentiates us from the Hulu SVOD services or a Netflix or a Philo. And so without that impetus, we really didn't see much relative to normal on the customer acquisition front without sports. But as you noted, sports did come back largely in Q3. And so we saw an amazing quarter in Q3. We're really excited about that. We'd revised up our year-end numbers at that point. during Q3 as well. And so as sports has come back, we've seen continued high levels of engagement on the platform, but we've seen new customers come onto the platform. The way we think about our business is come for the sports, stay for the entertainment. And so as sports has returned, we've really seen that growth return as well.
Mm-hmm. So yes, sounds very exciting, seeing that kind of growth. So something else that has come up a bit more recently is we've been seeing some movement on the sports betting front. So we've seen with a number of states beginning to legalize states betting that there have been a number of partnerships that have really emerged in this area in order to really kind of push it forward. What are your thoughts on the importance of covering this angle in pay TV? I believe there was an acquisition of Balto Sports as a company not too long ago. Is there anything you have to share on that?
Yeah, I mean, great question. Definitely, we think sports betting is a huge opportunity for anyone in the sports streaming space. You have sports fans on the platform. You have a two-way interactive platform. There's compelling content on the platform. So we think and I'm sure others, but we think we're very well positioned to take advantage of trends in that part of the market. And we've been preparing for this for a few years. A couple of years ago, we added a channel called VSIN, Vegas Stats and Information Network, onto the platform with the notion that we wanted to start providing content that would attract folks that would ultimately be interested in sports betting. And so we've continued that with the rollout of Fubo Sports Network, which is our proprietary linear channel. It's available on Fubo as well as FAST platforms. And there we have a number of sports betting related content programs as well. Certainly historically, we've also benefited on the ad sales side, sort of arms dealer, right, to the space. And I'm sure, other platforms have done that as well. But again, with our sports first offering, we're able to capture some pretty attractive CPMs there. Going forward, certainly we're looking at a number of different options, and this is definitely a priority for us, going forward to see how else we can expand in the space.
It's interesting as you start getting into sports betting and monetizing the type of things that are out there. When you look at live sports and anything that's going to be bet on, security becomes even more important, because you don't want to have this time delays or these gaps between when you can start getting false bets, content out before it's actually available to the masses, because there's some inherent delay in OTT delivery. So you really need to start looking at securing the content really end to end at that point, and try to get rid of as many gaps as you can. Also, when you start getting into these applications, you're talking about transactions on those devices. So in addition to securing the content itself, you need to start looking at securing the application, the transaction that's in there, who's making the transaction, as well as you start getting into all of these monetary types of transactions on platforms that were just used for viewing and entertainment. So we have to take a few more steps in looking at doing that, and then authenticating and authorizing those transactions becomes very, very critical at that point for not only the companies that are part of that chain, but also for those end users.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, having a solid streaming platform, low latency, and having content security and transactional security is hugely important for anyone who's going to try to compete in that space. Totally agree.
And yes, with a multi-billion-dollar market, definitely very, very critical as well. So yes, Lou, I actually have an additional question for you on a very similar subject. Verimatrix has a somewhat unique perspective into the market as a provider of these types of security solutions. What would you say has been the impact of really this year, COVID-19, on the need for security and OTT video? Of course, with sports and some of the unique things that have happened there that's changed things as well.
Yeah, well, so Verimatrix, we've started out as a software-based security from the beginning. So we've watched an interesting evolution from the traditional pay TV operators like Cox and others around the world that looked at how they could expand their traditional networks and added OTT distribution on that managed network early. So we've seen a really a pretty smooth shift for those that embraced that IP-centric type of distribution when they wanted to make that change to OTT and a pure OTT application and move the type of services they had in the traditional pay TV to that. We did see a significant decrease in piracy, interestingly enough, early on during the pandemic, just because sports wasn't there. There weren't a lot of new movies, but now that everything's opened up again, we're seeing piracy and a real launch of new innovative services like Philo and Fubo. Even though they've been around for a while, the broader market has started to embrace those as additives to their traditional pay TV service. So, we're seeing some real interesting growth and new use cases that need security today more than ever, including, microtransactions during sporting events, purchases with other companies that are looking to do that and really look to engage those end consumers. So it's a really interesting time, and how you tie that in with making the authentication of a user as they're moving from platform to platform, and make that easy for them to move, because today some of the ability to log in, moving from your smartphone to your TV to a new device and remember passwords, those type of things is quite a challenge. And at the end of the day, I'm sure all of the other panelists here will agree, you want to make the experience for the end user easy so they'll stay on your platform, but still secure.
Yes, definitely. And I've recently finished writing a white paper on something of a similar subject. We have survey data indicating that a majority of U.S. broadband households right now are actually multi-platform viewers. So they're viewing on all sorts of devices, including TV screens, including mobile devices, including PCs. So it's definitely very, very vital to support those devices as well and offer a good user experience on them.
Hey, Kristen, what else can you share about that in terms of like viewership across platforms? I find that those studies to be pretty valuable.
Sure. I think so. We actually have the white paper that is freely available to download, so you can just grab it off of the Parks website. I'm afraid I don't have all the figures memorized. I can tell you one of the most interesting findings out of that research was that there are some very large generational changes in where the share of viewing time is falling. So we have older generations that are doing most of their viewing on televisions. And then as the generations go younger, we see viewing time shifting more and more towards other devices. So I think millennials, you have half of viewing time falling on non-TV devices, such as PCs and mobile devices. Gen Z, you actually have the lion's share of viewing happening on mobile, with PC as the second most, the device with the second most viewing hours, and then finally TVs. Interestingly enough, Gen Z is also the generation most likely to be multi-platform viewers. I think over 80% of them view on all three platforms. And they're also buying smart TVs at a very high rate. So it's definitely some interesting generational changes with regards to that.
Good stuff.
Okay. And then actually, let's maybe pivot back again to talk about some of the I called it a tale of two markets, I think, before. So we have services that are really focusing heavily in on sports content, but at the same time, we also have services that are focusing on some non-sports content. And Kirsten, I talked a little bit about this with Caroline earlier. So this is definitely a market that Philo is really targeting. Consumers who are looking for really general entertainment, not necessarily sports content. Can you talk maybe a little bit more about meeting the needs for this customer in particular? Who is this customer? What do they want? And do you expect other pay TV providers in this space to start targeting them as well?
Sure. Yeah. So, I think harkening back to your presentation, there is a large segment of U.S. customers who are non-sports fans, I think 41%. And even with our accelerated growth, I would say that we still have a pretty large runway before we really saturate that market. So or that audience who's really looking for this type of content. But beyond that, I think one of the great things about Philo is that at our current price point and with our offering, we're really a complementary service to a lot of others in the space, whether they be sports focused or other popular SVOD services like a Netflix or Disney Plus. So we really see that, as customers are building their entertainment packages, that Philo is a nice complementary service and still keeps them in a relatively low price point, even with all that we have to offer. In terms of meeting the needs of the customer, I think a lot of what Carolyn had spoke about earlier in terms of, just the additional channels. We launched 15 channels this year on the service without having to, change our price. We also added premium services like Epix and Stars, which are available add-ons to our service. That's content that people were looking for and wanting. So I think we continually listen to our customers. We support Chromecast, which also launched this year. So wanting to, listen to our customers, find what they are interested in, and then hopefully deliver on those without having to shift anything from a price perspective.
Very cool, very cool. So one of the trends that we really expect to see in this market really overall is a trend more towards over-the-top service delivery. So traditional pay TV services may be relaunching as app-based services, or potentially players in the traditional pay TV space offering new ways to connect with their broadband-only customers. So I think we've seen some interesting movement with AT&T TV, the launch of that service, and we may be seeing some interesting movement soon with Spectrum TV as well. Lou, at Verimatrix, you offer security solutions to encrypt video streams, and you've talked a little bit about this earlier. You've also worked with a number of pay TV providers too in the space, helping to get them really online and towards app-based OTT solutions. What would you say are your customers' strategies with regards to streaming? What's on their minds?
Yeah, well, I think one, always trying to please their customers is the first thing, right? They want to give their customers what they want and do it in the most efficient way possible. So what I'm seeing with the traditional pay TV operators that own their own networks is that they're adding, right, a companion OTT service to reach those other devices for those other generations that maybe they're a use case that they're looking to do. And they're also authenticating with other content owners that have launched their own direct-to-consumer services. So really it's a combination of things that are happening for those facilities-based pay TV operators, because they also want to be as efficient as possible as they can be on their own networks. And there are some other technologies that make that distribution of the content more efficient, which we can help them protect with our conditional access products. But when you start getting into an unmanaged network or going to devices that don't support those, we're seeing the pay TV, traditional pay TV operators embrace those as well. And then look to authenticate with the other application providers that are bringing other OTT streaming services, because those pay TV operators often are that gateway to that end customer, because they also have the ISP side of the business. So authenticating, securing the content, looking at how do you not only prevent access, how do you monitor it, but then authenticate when you can have access to it across all of the different platforms that are out there, is where we're seeing many of our traditional pay TV operators shift, in addition to launching their own streaming OTT service.
Very cool, very cool. And that's definitely something that we expect to see increasingly on companies' roadmaps into the future. And then Megan, maybe you can talk about this from the perspective of a more traditional provider in the space. So I think Cox has done some phenomenal work with the Contour TV service, the Contour Stream device, Contour Stream Player as well. I think I'd like to know a little bit more about Contour Stream Player in particular, which is a new service that allows your broadband customers actually to access OTT video services using an interface very similar to what your traditional customers use. Can you maybe talk a little bit about Cox's reason for offering this service and some of the results that you've had?
Absolutely. So I would say we certainly agree that the video universe is starting to bifurcate, and that there are customers who are still looking for a really traditional premium experience, and they're looking for live sports, and they're looking for their local broadcast content, and they're looking for broad access to the cable networks that they've always had a subscription for. But we've been focused for the last couple of years on adding in access to both OTT apps. So we've added Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, we've got YouTube access, and then we've launched Tubi, Pluto, Zumo. I think in total we're close to 30 OTT apps that we've actually integrated with our traditional video service, so that our customers can find any content that they want to watch, kind of regardless of what the platform is that the content is associated with. We've also realized that there are customers that are doing business with, Philo, Fubo, Netflix, Disney Plus, that are looking for more choice and control, and they're no longer interested in that traditional kind of big cable network package. And for those customers, we have introduced our Contour stream player service that is available to customers who have broadband from Cox. And really, it is the whole premise behind it is letting customers pick and choose the content that they want to kind of pay for and access. And so it is all links into the OTT apps that we've launched, and then a lot of networks that were kind of digital first and not traditionally a part of cable network service bundles. So internet delivered content that we're making available to customers in this space, and they also have access to your traditional VOD kind of transactional EST type library. So don't have access to the free VOD content from networks, but any of that transactional content they have access to. I think one of the things that we're bringing to the table for this group of customers is they've got that the voice remote that we have available for our premium universe of customers as well. And we've got a really elegant kind of search and discovery experience for customers that lets them search across all of these different platforms. So they can do either a regular kind of typed search in our user interface or initiate a voice search. And we will kind of populate a list of where they can find the content that they're looking for, and they make a selection, and we will take them right to that content regardless of the platform that they're on. And a lot of the partners that we're working with have gotten so comfortable being in our ecosystem that they're now partnering with us for our voice remote to work inside of their application, inside of our ecosystem. So we really feel like we are recognizing the fact that there's two different universes of customers now, and we've built these two different platforms to meet these different groups of customers' needs.
Mm-hmm. I think that's very cool. I'd love to have a chance maybe a bit later to sit down and see the Contour stream player looks like, and then the user experience there. Unfortunately, I don't live in the Cox area, but I'd love to learn more about that.
We can do a demo for you online, no problem.
That would be great. But let's see. It looks like we have a few more minutes, and then we also have a bunch of questions in from the audience. So Megan, maybe you can share a little bit more. So you mentioned that there was really these two separate markets that Cox has been targeting. One that is maybe more interested in the bundle of live linear channels, one that might be more interested in kind of a OTT kind of structure. It looks like Cox, from what I understand, has been also offering different amount levels of online app-based service as well under the Contour TV player. Can you tell me maybe a little bit more about how those markets work?
Yeah, I guess a couple of different things in there. We do have our cable networks broadly available from a TV everywhere perspective. So it's available on PC, Android, Apple devices. We've not done any of the connected TV devices, so no Roku or smart TV type devices yet. We do have some services that are available app only, so no set-top box in the home at all. And that's a service that we've launched actually a couple of years ago. And I think the challenge with that, honestly, is that we don't have access to the OTT apps inside of that app-only world on those devices. And so while we are certainly open to serving customers on any device that they want to consume our content on, and we're working to build out additional ways, we still believe that the best experience is on the set-top box. And it's not because we particularly care about having a set-top box in the home, but that's the only place where we can create this integrated content experience across all the different platforms.
Yes, I think what we've been seeing at Parks Associates too is that unified interface, so not having to dig into 8 or 9 different individual apps, has been a big boon to consumers. Okay. So yes, it looks like we have quite a bit of questions in from the audience that I'm going to be posing to you all. So the first one is towards Lou, asking about how big of an issue piracy is for OTT. Is it losing money, or is it also maybe helping to put some content on the radar potentially?
Yeah, I mean, piracy is a significant issue just for the market in general. OTT can also accelerate it. If you take a look at what's happened just recently with the releases of first-run movies coming direct to home, it's taking out this window, or a very limited and I guess private almost window that's where it was going to theaters. And I think it's great that it's coming out that way. But when you bring that out, say with Mulan, for example, on Disney Plus, you really limited that universe of folks that have access to that content unless they subscribe to that type of service. And it's done regionally as well. So if it's not a global launch for that, it can actually increase the amount of piracy that happens initially, because it's also more generally available, and you don't have to go into a theater where people are pirating that content and using cameras and phones and those type of things. In general, though, the security can be made stronger through OTT distribution, because it is actually possible, because the consumption methods for OTT and streaming are all the same. They're on a mobile device, or on a smart TV, or on a set-top box that's capable of taking in a unicast stream. So it's possible to secure that content from the source and origination, as long as you can work through the agreements and authenticate that content in that app, even if it's within Fubo's environment, or Cox's environment, or Philo's environment, so that you don't have these air gaps that are available. So while I think that piracy is increasing just because there's so much more content out there, there are opportunities to decrease it by making the content easier to access and more generally available and secure from end to end, including the authentication, watermarking, things like that that'll help the ability to detect, monitor, and decrease that piracy as the distribution becomes larger and larger and more unified in the consumption methods.
Yes, and I've been hearing a lot about how the content windowing strategy is changing for a lot of different companies across the space, even into next year as well. So I imagine security is going to be a very big concern for those companies, certainly. So we have another question that has come in. This one is directed towards Ben of Fubo. So asking how many of the Fubo subs are new to pay TV versus maybe coming in from the incumbents? The question is also interested in knowing some of the demographics around this user. So is it maybe single males being a larger part of the total, for example?
Yeah. So I can't give the exact sort of breakdown of those, but I'll try to speak to some of the questions and items posed there. Generally speaking, we believe vast majority of our customers are people that had subscriptions at one point to pay TV, because ultimately to someone just graduating college who hasn't paid for content before, they can wrap their heads around $12 a month for Netflix a lot easier than $60, $70 for pay TV, versus someone who's already paying $120, $140 for their pay TV package. $60, $70 actually looks like a pretty good deal. So that's definitely the case, that it is former pay TV subscribers for the most part. But there's sort of a demographic piece in that as well. Again, our sweet spot is not sort of Gen Z or millennial either. It's Gen X, and in some cases older. Probably skews down from the traditional pay TV audience on average, but up from YouTube or TikTok or something like that. Single males, that's something that when we started as a live streaming soccer service and more sort of niche content, not really full household replacement offering, we had that was a significant share of our subscriber base. But today, it's very much more of a full family offering, and the demographics really reflect that. It really is multiple viewers within a household. It is more of a household product today.
Very cool, very cool. So expanding the channel lineup certainly brought in a different group of users.
Yeah, expanding the content offering for sure, and then as kind of dovetailing with that, getting the UI working better so that customers who maybe came in for a game could actually discover that we really had great entertainment and news content and content for the whole family and kids content, and then that really reinforces the value of the offering, and that's helped our demographics.
Very cool, very cool. And then the next question is for Megan, asking if Cox has considered maybe offering its own online pay TV service, or is the focus more on the aggregation play with the Contour Stream player?
Yeah, so as of now, we really are still focused on continuing to aggregate the best content available for customers, but trying to be very open in considering new content partners that we can help aggregate for customers. I think there really is a lot of amazing content that's being produced and is showing up on all of these different kind of OTT apps, but it's really cumbersome for customers to try and find what they want to watch in all of these different applications. And we think that kind of traditional role that we've had as a cable provider of helping customers kind of aggregate their content and find what they want to watch quickly is a space that we're still going to focus on.
Yes, I know certainly we at Parks have seen that as an increasingly large percent of the OTT video market being driven through those types of aggregation plays. So certainly very promising avenue. So the next question is at what looks like it is at both Ben and at Kirsten, asking if the Fubo TV and Philo customer support is as robust as a traditional subscription provider such as Cox. So maybe comparing Megan's service with those services. So do Fubo TV and Philo TV customers have maybe the same level of expectations as more traditional subscribers?
Good.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Okay. In terms of expectations, I think that, we're really meeting a subset of customers who are looking again for a specific set of content at a price point that is affordable to them. So I think from an expectation standpoint, given our, channel lineup, we have a lot of the top 10 cable networks in our offering, I think is of a great value to our customers. And certainly we see that in the customers that we attract. I think that a lot of what we've seen from a support standpoint or even a social is that they find, our service has a lot to offer at that price point, but also just how the service works. It's really easy to use. It's intuitive. Our product team has done a great job of recommending content based on people's previous habits. So we have a lot of engaged users. They're watching, upwards of 4 hours a day. So, I think in terms of meeting the demand of the customers, I feel like we have done a fairly good job.
Yeah, and I guess on our end, interesting that Cox was sort of cited as the example here. I've never lived in Cox footprint. As I understand it, Cox usually did pretty well relative to other pay TV providers in surveys around customer support. I will say that generally speaking. I'm not sure that cable has the best historical reputation around customer support. And so, do we believe that we provide as robust customer support? We do. And in terms of customer expectations, that's an interesting question. People think about us. Some people think about us more like a Netflix, and some people think of us more like a Cox. So it probably depends on the customer, but for sure, this hasn't been a concern that we've seen, and we think we are meeting customer needs very well on the CS front.
I'll just say, I'll weigh in here real quick. I said, look, we're certainly jealous of what Philo and Fubo have. I'd certainly appreciate less phone calls and truck rolls to customers' homes. But it's one of the challenges that we have in this space is that customers are really accustomed to calling us or us showing up at their house if they have issues. And I think the other challenge that we have, quite frankly, is that it's hard for a customer sometimes to differentiate what is a video service provider issue from an internet issue if they've got service from two different companies. So I'm betting I'm still taking part of the customers.
Yeah, I'll just jump back in. I sort of misunderstood a little bit of the question, but I think from a customer support side, we have seen really great feedback on our customer support. They're very responsive. Again, Philo is always putting the customer first. So I think that, our CSAT scores continue to be in the 90s plus. So, it's very much through our product, through our offering, and through our support team that the user is always first.
Mm-hmm. Very important, very important. So there's another question in, and this one is aimed again at Megan, asking how big a role does voice control really play in terms of discovery for OTT, and also, I want to say, engagement as well. So do you see voice control really as a must-have?
Yeah, I think we're certainly getting there. Not all of our customers that have a voice remote are using it, but the speed at which customers can access the content they're looking for when they use the voice remote versus trying to kind of navigate with the remote control either through menus or even trying to type in a title or actor, voice remote is certainly faster. So I do think that it is something that is going to be critical for all customers to have access to in the future. I will say that I am equally passionate about metadata and metadata integration. The power of a search tool is only valuable if it's got a strong metadata set that we can kind of tap into to help get customers directly to the content that they want to see as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So yes, it's definitely very important, and also a challenge trying to get all that metadata really collected and standardized and integrated in a meaningful way.
Yeah, and Chris, I'll just say too, I think customers are so used to voice activated devices in their home. They're used to being able to, ask, Google or Alexa for, weather or traffic or, placing an order for paper towels, whatever it is. I think people are just getting so comfortable with voice. The other thing that we're doing from a Cox product integration perspective is making other Cox products controllable with the voice remote. So we talked a little bit earlier about kind of the home automation products, so thermostats and lights and locks on doors and being able to control your Wi-Fi network through that voice remote as well.
Okay, and then so somebody just sent in a follow-up question to that. When it comes to voice control, how do you see really maybe far field voice control, so an embedded microphone on the set-top box? How do you see that as maybe being important as opposed to having the actual remote control with the microphone in it and you press a button?
Yeah, we have not launched kind of a far field voice device, but it is certainly something that we're looking at. I think that's the ideal for the future. I think there's a big difference though from a controlling your video and having to. It would be great to be able to not touch a remote control and say, I want to watch and it start playing. But customers are also really used to being able to pause video and jump back, for a little instant replay, 7 seconds, and rewinding and fast forwarding. And I think those kinds of things are still kind of cumbersome. I think we will get there, but I don't think most consumers are used to having all the voice commands that they would have to do to really control their video like they do with a remote control today.
Mhm.
So I think we'll all get there. I just don't think consumers are quite ready for that.
So yeah, right now the physical remote may be a little bit more convenient. So next question is aimed at Ben. So wondering how much of the user's viewing is live TV versus video on demand, and how important video on demand is for growing the Fubo TV subscriber footprint.
Yeah, it's a great question. Call it 90% of our viewing on our platform is live, directionally, and that's really primarily because we're known for sports. We over-index in sports viewing. Sports is what drives people onto the platform, and sports obviously is best consumed live and not on demand. What I will say is that our VOD library has grown substantially over the past few years. It's now over 30,000 customers and with 30,000 assets a month, and significantly ahead of that with our launch of Epix on Friday, and we've launched at Stars is coming soon as well. So we'll be going to another milestone shortly. So we've grown the VOD offering. We've grown our VOD viewership as well. But frankly, there's opportunity for us to grow that even more. Certainly as we look at ways to get our hours per viewer per month up, which is a core metric for us. Increasing VOD is one of them. So we've got a great VOD offering. Our linear viewership is really high, and the opportunity for our VOD viewership to continue to grow.
Mm-hmm. Very cool, very cool. And we have, I think, time for one last question from the audience. And the question we do have is a doozy. So it's asking if OTT services are going to be rebundled to a big bundle, really just as pay TV has been structured for many years now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that and say, the value of aggregation is huge. I mean, it's we all talk about UI, and I think Megan talked about the importance of sort of metadata and customers finding what they're looking for, and we definitely believe that the value of aggregation is paramount, and so customers will continue to flock to services like Fubo that do provide a high amount of compelling and industry leading sports and entertainment and news content all in one place on one platform on devices they already have in their home. So we definitely believe that people aren't really super excited about splitting their viewership between 12 different apps, and if they can find a solution like Fubo that has really what they're looking for across genres, that's a great solution.
Okay, and then any other perspectives? Megan, that is what Contour Stream Player is doing, of course, and I think we've seen certainly some signs here at Parks that a growing percentage of consumers are going through aggregation platforms just to have everything really simplify their billing and be able to access these services through a single interface as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, Contour Stream Player, we will continue to add, content where we've got content partners that are willing to be flexible with us. But it is really important to us in that Contour Stream Player space that we maintain all of the choice and control that customers are looking for that we are not able to meet in that traditional video world. I think we'll continue to aggregate a lot of different kinds of content there, but we're going to be really selective about the content partners that we work with in that space so that we can keep that kind of choice and control that customers are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the content aggregation is going to be interesting with this fragmentation, and we are seeing this happen lots of places around the world, looking at how you can aggregate content. What's challenging is when somebody's looking for that piece of content with the metadata that Megan mentioned, how do you then figure out what that end user's authorized for through what platform? And so that's an interesting challenge that you have to tie in, because that actually does tie into that security. Is this end user, let's say it's the TVE authentication that Megan and Cox use today, are they did they sign up through Fubo for this particular piece of content or this channel, or through Philo? Where does it come from? But you want to keep them within an environment that gives them access to that content, to those applications, and know that they're paying subscribers so that everyone can monetize this along the way. And that does require some complex insight into the data, into who's authorized to provide it to that end consumer, and what intermediaries or the B2B companies that provide that to the end consumer are looking to do. So it's interesting that we'll see things come full circle from, you know, movies to broadcast TV, which was an aggregation, and broadcast TV to cable, which was an aggregation, and then from cable to OTT. So we see these types of cycles happen again and again in the M&E space, and I think it will happen.
Yeah, I think from the,
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think from the Philo perspective, again, that harkens back to kind of us being a complementary service. And you know, while we may not bring on content that may disrupt that sort of base model at $20, I think that we are always looking at ways to bring in more content into the Philo you know, platform. And so looking at like Epics and Stars, which we had launched as add-on services, looking at other services that we may include as well as add-ons so that customers have that choice, but can still stay within the Philo environment, which is, you know, something that they, you know, find easy to use and really enjoy engaging with. Excuse me.
Yeah, no worries. But yes, thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts. I think this is definitely going to be an exciting area over the coming years. But unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. So yes, a big thanks to all of our panelists for that really wonderful talk and being able to join with us today. And I'd also like to thank our great sponsors for making this event possible. So special thanks to our research partner, Salesforce, gold sponsors, Comcast Technology Solutions, ContentWise, and Verizon Media. Also our silver sponsors, UITV, bronze sponsors, Amdocs Media, Panthera, and Verimatrix. Thank you all so much for your help, and also to our great supporters for again, making this event possible. So yes, everyone, our day does not end right now. We also have a networking discussion that is going to be kicking off in a Zoom chat room. So looking at rethinking the bundle, so new offers from MSPs. So our marketing team should be posting links to the Zoom room in our chat right now. If not, there are going to be links available through SwapCard, where you can just go directly to that chat room and participate. But yes, thank you everyone for joining us today, and looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow.